80 vans face off for the final time before Election Day.
And in sports, Ohio football keeps a perfect record at home. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Taylor Mondragon.
And I'm Brenna Nye. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. Nelsonville police are responding to reports of two suspicious men approaching children at a school bus stop.
According to the bus driver, the men say they were waiting to get a student off the bus. However, that student told the bus driver they did not recognize the men, and the driver ordered the child to stay inside. The child's actual guardian was down the street from a local stop located at Poplar and St. Charles Street. After the driver walked the student to their guardian, the two men walked away towards St. Charles Street. Officers are patrolling the area and are still looking for suspects in the case. Authorities are investigating a suspicious candy bar found in a trick-or-treater's bag last night in Guernsey County Village. The unopened candy bar had a pin-size hole in the wrapper. A field test was then conducted at the Byesville Police Department. Initial test results show a presumptively positive result for methamphetamine/fentanyl. However, a control test of the same brand of candy bar bought at a nearby gas station showed the same results. Authorities are advising all who trick-or-treated in the Byesville to throw out or not consume the candy they receive until the police finish their investigation. During a vehicle stop yesterday, Nelsonville police allegedly discovered drug paraphernalia and a crystallized substance. Police pulled over Scotty Russell and Michael Brengartner outside the Nelsonville Burger King located on US Route 33. Police then searched the vehicle, finding miscellaneous drug paraphernalia and a crystallized substance in a backpack with the two men. Russell was issued a citation for driving under suspension, while Brengartner was detained and transported to the Southeastern Ohio Regional Jail. Further indictments are pending as the suspected narcotics are sent out for testing. Federal investigators are looking into the cause of a trail derailment in Portage County. 22 train cars went off the tracks last night in Ravenna. Portage County authorities say contractors spent much of the evening cleaning up the wreckage. The train had more than 200 cars. Officials say there were no related injuries from the incident, and there is no word on a possible cause of the crash.
The state of Ohio is suing Dollar General after consumer complaints about the company's business practices. The lawsuit alleges Dollar General lists one price on the shelf but charges higher price at the register, violating the state's Consumer Sales Practices Act. The Ohio Attorney General's office has received 12 complaints since March 2021 about Dollar General's business practices. In addition to seeking monetary payments, the state is seeking court intervention to remedy the situation for consumers and bring Dollar General into compliance with Ohio law. Ohioans who suspect unfair business practices should contact the Ohio Attorney General's office at 1-800-282-0515. The Ohio Lottery announces two lucky $1 million winners. One ticket was claimed by Letitia Efaw, who brought her ticket from the Par Mar on State Route 7 in Newport. The other $1 million ticket has yet to be claimed. It was sold in Huron County at the Norwalk Mickey Mart. The winner has 180 days to claim their ticket. Tonight's Powerball jackpot is an estimated $1.2 billion. Now over to Jake with a first look at the weather.
Thanks, Brenna. Yes, today Athens, you saw temperatures as high of 67 degrees. Do expect those temperatures to drop tonight down to 45 degrees as we are expecting those mostly cloudy skies and those cooler conditions. Not as cool as what we've had the last several days. However, that warming trend should end in the near time. Now, Athens currently seeing temperatures as high as 59 degrees and in some regions heavy rain. Now that heavy rain is associated with this little pocket here that's north of Athens here, pushing towards Zanesville and towards Columbus. Now beyond that, there's a little bit of rain to the south of us along the Howe River, but that's not too much of a concern for us here in Athens. Now, what is a concern for Athens? Well, here in southeastern Ohio, you can notice this huge cloud pocket that's just kind of funneled into our region associated with kind of like a pseudo high pressure system. Now, eventually you'll see another band pushing across the country here that'll eventually push the system out, and that's where it leaves us in a region of concern with some severe weather here in southeastern Ohio. I'll talk about that more in my full forecast forecast and later in today's show. That's all I have for first weather. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Jake. Today marks the first day the Athens Farmers Market is operating at its new location, the Athens Community Center. Newswatch reporter Emma Dollenmayer went to the grand opening to hear more.
The Athens Farmers Market has a new location as of today. The year-round market has been searching for a permanent and affordable location for decades, according to Tanya Heyer, the market manager, and it has finally found one at the Athens Community Center campus.
You can expect exactly the same thing as you got at the other location, and that's the best part about it. We have the same vendors, we have the same atmosphere, environment, energy.
This year is the market's 50th anniversary, and the vendors and coordinators plan on keeping tradition alive, even at a new location.
My family was here years ago when it was down just a little bit in the rec center, by the old rec center, but we're still in Athens. We still got our customers. We'll be fine.
The market will be open the same hours of 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Wednesdays and Saturdays, but after Thanksgiving will only be open on Saturdays.
I hope everybody comes down and checks it out. And, we're going to take feedback. There's wrinkles to work out, but we're going to work through them before we get into a really busy season again next year.
The Athens Farmers Market will be open this coming Saturday in addition to the Athens Art Guild's Art Market, which is making the move to the community center as well. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Emma Dollenmayer.
You can find meats, cheeses, vegetables, fruits, pastries, flower arrangements, and handcrafts, all at the Athens Farmers Market. Coming up after the break, a recap on the town hall for Ohio's U.S. Senate. Plus, one of the most important topics for voters this midterm. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
Here's what's new this month with Passport.
Once money's involved, people can get very greedy.
I took every possible step to find you.
These and all your favorite shows are available with Passport on the PBS app. Download it today.
Oh my goodness, this week's games are insane. Eastern gets a shot at vengeance against TVC hockey champions Waterford. Granville heads to Jackson. Can the Granville defense stop that explosive Jackson offense? And Bloom Carroll is coming off a 48-point win in round one, but the Tri-Valley Scotties haven't allowed more than 40 points since 2016. Tune in Friday night at 11:30 on WOUB for the full breakdown. And remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, Roadshow revisits some remarkable revelations from the Alamo City, San Antonio.
What you have here is 1905 World Series program, incredibly scarce.
I'm loving the cows. I am loving the cows.
Take my breath away. Find out which values peaked and which plummeted next time on Antiques Roadshow Vintage San Antonio, Hour 2.
Monday at 8 on WOUB.
An ancient mystery. Who created the Nazca lines and why? Can recent discoveries and modern science reveal clues?
We let AI learn from these famous geoglyphs.
We do archaeology without digging.
We're connected to our ancestors, the past, the present, and the future.
Nazca Desert Mystery on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
The Ohio State School Board's Executive Committee is considering 3 proposals for changes in a Title IX policy.
State House correspondent Joe Ingles reports the board is running out of time to adopt the new proposals. The current policy supports bills barring trans kids from girls' sports and bathrooms. It also supports a lawsuit against federal rules on investigating LGBTQ+ discrimination claims. A new amendment would leave rulemaking to lawmakers and support parental rights. These proposals will be considered later this month during the last voting meeting scheduled for the year. The candidates for Ohio's U.S. Senate race had their final discussion last night, just 1 week before Election Day. In a town hall hosted by Fox News, Democratic candidate Tim Ryan and Republican candidate J.D. Vance answered questions addressing inflation, immigration, and their commitment to Ohioans. According to NBC4, Ryan says he thinks tax cuts and building Ohio's natural gas industry to compete globally is the way to go, saying, quote, "I want Ohio to be the manufacturing powerhouse of the world," end quote. Meanwhile, Vance points to Democrats about increasing inflation, saying we need to, quote, "stop borrowing and spending." However, both agree no solutions on fighting inflation can be made without bipartisanship. NBC4 reports both also agree a tighter border to Mexico can curtail overdose rates in the country.
With less than a week to go, early voting is in its final stretch, and a lot of people have cast their ballots. Edison Research and Catalyst says nearly 28 million people in 46 states have taken advantage of early voting. So far, more than 3 million votes have been cast in both Texas and Florida, nearly 2 million in Georgia. Here in Ohio, numbers are also surpassing 2018 numbers. According to the Ohio Secretary of State's office, 1.2 million Ohioans have already cast their ballots. One reason for this surge in early voting, the economy. In a new CNN poll, Republicans and independents are broadly focused on the economy, with Democrats mostly concerned about the economy, but also abortion rights. The economy is a hot topic for the midterm elections. Mixed messages about the state of it, however, leave many questions for voters. Karen Kafa looks at how those feelings might play out at the polls.
Restaurant owners like Teresa Razzo feel every shift in the economy, from labor to the supply chain to consumer confidence.
Inflation and prices and shortage of staff just is killing businesses. And it's really hard to pass on all that to the customers.
She and her husband operate 2 restaurants and a market in Orange County, California. They've been in the business for 17 years, weathered the COVID-19 pandemic, and wonder what's really next.
Then you read, like, yeah, there's a recession coming next year. And then you read, no, we are already in the recession. Then you read another one, no, it's the beginning of it. So where are we? How bad is it going to be?
The U.S. economy grew at a stronger than expected 2.6% annualized rate during the summer months. And the labor market remains strong, with unemployment close to a half-century low. But then there's inflation at a 40-year high, and the Federal Reserve raising interest rates to try to stem it. Some of the top names on Wall Street forecast a recession in 2023. The constant, sometimes confusing headlines have the issue top of mind for voters across the country, and especially in some key midterm states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, with its crucial U.S. Senate race.
It's the economy.
I run a business here in town, so we're kind of preparing for, going into a slight recession or going into a recession at the beginning of next year. So anything that helps us, start building our GDP and, getting things going in the right direction is where I'll be voting.
In Atlanta, Roy Pankey's work as a realtor is tied directly to how people feel about spending.
People right now, from most of the conversations I have had, are pretty nervous.
But with Georgia's U.S. Senate race also carrying national implications, he says for him another issue is even more pressing.
As a member of the LGBTQ plus community, I am very much worried about what the repeal of Roe versus Wade might mean for my rights.
Back in Southern California, Teresa Razzo says she'll keep going with the flow.
When you're a small business, you just have to have that grind and that grit for it.
No matter what the elections or economy bring next. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
President Biden announced his plans to make, quote, tangible commitments with hundreds of organizations to create a better 21st century workforce. The Federal Reserve announces a historic interest hike rate today. That story's still ahead.
And with warmer conditions but rainy weather ahead, I'll talk more about that when Newswatch returns. In the meantime, you can follow us on social media. Check us out at YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter.
An ancient mystery. Who created the Nazca lines and why? Can recent discoveries and modern science reveal clues?
We let AI learn from these famous geoglyphs.
We do archaeology without digging.
We're connected to our ancestors, the past, the present, and the future.
Nazca Desert Mystery on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
They make an unmistakable sound. But woodpeckers are incredibly varied. And these charismatic birds drum in almost every forest, everywhere in the world. Think you know the woodpecker? Think again. This is the whole story.
Wednesday at 8 on WOUB.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
On Secrets of the Dead, hieroglyphics, mysterious symbols from the ancient past.
For the ancient Egyptians, the word was incredibly powerful.
But who inscribed the texts that help us understand ancient Egypt?
These hieroglyphs, who painted them, I've got to get to know him.
Decoding hieroglyphics on Secrets of the Dead.
Wednesday at 10 on WOUB.
Things in Ohio, I'm Newswatch forecaster Jacob Van Cleve. Now, like I mentioned earlier in the show, we have that little pocket of clouds that's going to eventually push on and outside of our region. But over my shoulder here, you can see that there's this little band that's forming, and that's associated with the low pressure system that'll eventually work its way into southeastern Ohio. Besides that, what's going on currently? Well, Athens, you do have a little bit of pockets of heavy rain associated to the north of us, moving its way towards Zanesville and eventually off to the west towards Columbus. Now, beyond that, south of us, there is a little bit of rain along the Ohio River, mostly with and along West Virginia there, but not too much of a concern for southeastern Ohio tonight. Now, it will clear up eventually, but today, Athens, you saw highs of 67 degrees, and those temperatures tonight are expected to drop down to 45 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. Besides Athens, like I said, you're at 64 currently, but Lancaster, you're at 63, Huntington 64, Flemingsburg 63, and Charleston, you are sitting at temperatures at 64 degrees as well. Now, Athens tonight, those temperatures are expected to cool off slightly down to mid-40s, sitting at 45 degrees, and again, those mostly cloudy skies, so that conditions do still linger in Athens. Now, eventually, that is expected to push off. So where's the rain sitting at right now? Well, the bulk of the rain is actually to the southwest of us here, between Kentucky and Tennessee. Now, eventually, that will push its way on east, and you will start to see that as time progresses, you have that high pressure that'll dominate in the region, and you'll see that the rain that is in the region now push off to the Atlantic. And then there's that low pressure system that I mentioned. You have a little bit of rain towards Kansas City, and that'll continue to wrap up. Now, Athens, tomorrow, you will notice that temperatures are going to be even warmer. You'll have a high of 71 degrees, low of 47 degrees, and those partly sunny skies are due to that cloud system moving its way outside of the region. Now, again, as time continues, you'll see tomorrow that you also see, or tonight, my apologies, you'll see that high pressure dominate. Clouds will move on to the east. No more rain. That low pressure system, though, will develop and become even stronger. And now you start to see a frontal boundary where you'll have colder, warmer temperatures in between and the rain in between those temperatures. Now, again, as that progresses on, that low pressure system is slowly going to make its way closer to Athens. You'll see those regions of where rain is expected grow even stronger as that low pressure system grows stronger and that frontal boundary between the colder and warmer temperatures gets even stronger. Now, as we progress then again towards our weekend, that rainy weekend is expected when that system is supposed to make its way into the region. Friday, 74 is a high, low of 53, but then there's your rain chances for Saturday and Sunday. It is still low, but it's still high, so do bring a rain jacket with you and be prepared for those if you do heavy weekend plans. Now, as we push on past that little rain block for our weekend, you'll see Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those temperatures are going to drop back down slightly, but they're still going to be quite warm in the high to 70 degrees, high mid 60s. Now, beyond that, temperatures are going to be cooler with a high of or low of 49 degrees for Monday, low of 46 Tuesday, and a low of 42 on Wednesday. That's all I have for you for full weather. Back to you, Brenna.
Thanks, Jake. Columbia Gas of Ohio has reached a compromise with some state regulators and consumer advocates to raise its rates. In June 2021, Columbia Gas asked the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio to increase its fees to generate an additional $212 million each year from Ohio customers. However, WOSU reports this proposal would only generate $68 million. Columbia Gas said if the agreement is passed, it would raise bills by a little less than $4 a month for a typical customer. Critics at the Environmental Law and Policy Center say the agreement cuts energy efficiency programs and would saddle customers with too many fixed fees, leading to fixed rate charges of over $50 a month 5 years into the agreement. The company's customers now pay about $36 in fixed fees on a monthly basis. The Federal Reserve announced its toughest policy move since the 1980s, another interest rate hike. This hike is the fourth consecutive one in an effort to cool down inflation. With this move weighing down the stock market, people fear of spiking mortgage rates and a fueling recession. Mike Valerio has the latest.
Amid a rebound in the economy, a hot labor market, and mortgage rates topping 7% for the first time since 2002, the Federal Reserve announcing a historic interest rate hike today, pushing up the cost of borrowing even further.
My colleagues and I are acutely aware that high inflation imposes significant hardship as it erodes purchasing power, especially for those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials like food, housing, and transportation.
The decision of a fourth consecutive hike of 0.75 percentage point is intended to keep the economy from overheating or cooling too dramatically and to tame inflation.
They'll raise the rate another 0.25 point, and then I think they'll stop and pause, take a look around, because they know that it takes a while for all these interest rate hikes to affect the economy and to slow inflation.
The interest rate hike will likely deepen the economic pain for millions of Americans, at the same time as the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate is topping 7%.
Housing's going to struggle here over the next 12 to 18 months, and I do expect some meaningful price declines.
A silver lining in the midst of all of this, the job market that remains tight. But for the consumer, the advice is to hold on.
If you are not able to bring your wages up, then you need to consume because basically your purchasing power is going down the line.
I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
With Thanksgiving being just around the corner, some pocketbooks are going to take a hard hit. Market research firm IRI predicts this year's meal could be about 13.5% more costly than last year. Promotions in the coming weeks could help lower the cost, but IRI doesn't expect that to sway prices too heavily. Shoppers should be aware they might have to spend more on holiday food given how high grocery costs have been lately. According to an IRI survey, about 38% of consumers expect to pay more for Thanksgiving meals, even though they're planning to buy the same amount of food as in the past when inflation wasn't so high.
Coming up in sports, Ohio football keeps chugging along after another big-time win against a MAC opponent. That and more when Newswatch returns.
Oh my goodness, this week's games are insane. Eastern gets a shot at vengeance against TVC hockey champions Waterford. Granville heads to Jackson. Can the Granville defense stop that explosive Jackson offense? And Blue Carroll is coming off a 48-point win in round one, but the Tri-Valley Scotties haven't allowed more than 40 points since 2016. Tune in Friday night at 11:30 on WOUB for the full breakdown. And remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
On Secrets of the Dead, hieroglyphics, mysterious symbols from the ancient past.
For the ancient Egyptians, the word was incredibly powerful.
But who inscribed the texts that help us understand ancient Egypt?
These hieroglyphs, who painted them, I've got to get to know him.
Decoding hieroglyphics on Secrets of the Dead.
Wednesday at 10 on WOUB.
They make an unmistakable sound. But woodpeckers are incredibly varied. And these charismatic birds drum in almost every forest, everywhere in the world. Think you know the woodpecker? Think again. This is the whole story.
Wednesday at 8 on WOUB.
Next time on The War, the Battle of the Bulge.
And as I say, when they fired the first round, it darn near hit me.
Iwo Jima.
I always looked around and wondered now, how many men am I going to lose?
And fire rains on Japan.
They burn out a third of the whole area, and we knew that Americans were getting closer.
Part 6 of The War.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
Hello, everyone. I am Darius Sethna. Ohio football sits at the top of the Mid-American Conference East Division after a statement win. It was a terrific Tuesday night for the Bobcats as they secured a 45-24 win against the Buffalo Bulls to secure the top spot in the MAC East. Last night's game at Peden Stadium, Ohio showed no fear against the Bulls. The Bobcats took a 17-0 lead after the first quarter and never looked back. Head coach Tim Albin and his squad have now won 4 straight games and remain undefeated on Frank Solich Field. Albin says the atmosphere played into the team's performance.
Shout out to the student section, showed out today, loud. I mean, after the game was unbelievable. Ton of energy. Offense, defense, special teams, the student section, the energy in the stadium complimented each other all night.
Curtis Rourke is another reason for the team's success last night. Rourke threw for 317 yards and 5 touchdown passes. Rourke has 21 touchdowns on the season compared to just 4 interceptions. The Maple Missile has thrown for a little over 2,700 passing yards, 3rd best in the nation. Rourke credits his teammates and coaching staff for putting him in the best position to.
Really good weapons. I mean, we're throwing the ball and running the ball really well. So no matter who gets the ball, we're able to make some moves. And I think also the scheme goes into it. We got a lot of good game plan stuff, know what they were going to run in the red zone, and kind of work our plays off of that.
Ohio's win last night forced some changes in the MAC standings. Let's take a look. The Bobcats moved to first in the East with a 6-3 overall record. Ohio heads to Oxford next week for the latest installment of the Battle of the Bricks against Miami. This is the first time the Bobcats have won at least 6 games since 2019, a year they finished 7-6 overall with 5 conference victories. It has no doubt been a special year for Ohio on the gridiron, but what about on the basketball court? The Ohio men's basketball 2022 regular season is right around the corner. The Bobcats look to make strides in the MAC after winning 25 games last season. Head coach Jeff Bolds welcomed 6 freshmen to the team after losing players like Mark Sears and Ben Vanderplas to the transfer portal. Ohio hopes to rebound from a disappointing end to last season after falling to Kent State in the MAC tournament. The Bobcats have a tune-up game tomorrow when they welcome Capital to the Convo. Tip-off is scheduled for 7 p.m. And guys, it should be a really fascinating season this year. A lot of young faces, new players on this Bobcats roster. I can't wait for the season to get started.
Yeah, and they won, 25 games last year? Hopefully they can keep up with that record.
Absolutely. Last year when they made it to March Madness, it was so much fun too. Hopefully they make it again. Tossing it to Jake now.
Yeah, guys, I'm also excited to watch men's basketball this season. Should be fun to get to a game this year. Now, Athens, you're still noticing that little bit of pocket of rain there. That is just going to linger in the region a little bit, but eventually push on its way towards Columbus. Now, past Athens, you're going to see temperatures as low of 45 degrees tonight. And you also notice mostly cloudy skies, but do expect that to clear up as you see tomorrow highs of 71 degrees, low of 47, and partly sunny skies. Now, that area of concern, like I mentioned Friday, that low pressure system with that cold front will make its way between Saturday night into Sunday, and that's where we'll see that chance of rain Saturday and Sunday. Beyond that, great temperatures, fall-like conditions.
Researchers released an image of what appears to be a galactic spider web. What you're looking at is actually a thread-like filament of compressed gas that were formed when a massive star exploded in a supernova some 11,000 years ago. Shockwaves from that explosion compressed the gas released from a star to form those threads. It's one of the closest known features to Earth, and it's 800 light years away. The threads are roughly the same size as 9 full moons, which is only part of the giant cloud.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For all of us here at Newswatch, I'm Brenna Nye.
And I'm Taylor Mondragon. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find us at any time, WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Support comes from Buckeye Hills Regional Council, helping older adults and people with disabilities in reviewing and choosing the right Medicare plan and coverage. Certified Medicare counselors are available at 800-686-1578. Open enrollment October 15th through December 7th. Support comes from Dean Heating and Cooling. Stay warm this winter with energy.